What's going on, Marianas? Welcome back to SciPlan Supplemental Gardening. Today, we'll be covering how to mix soil. So, for those of you who don't have access to topsoil around your yard, today we're going to show you how to make your own soil. So, some of the materials you need are peat moss. This is our main growing medium. We could use compost or vermiculite. What it does is it helps to add nutrients to the soil and helps loosen the peat moss from clumping up. You need some perlite. It keeps moisture in the soil and it also helps to keep the peat moss from clumping up. We have some azomite. This is basically a rock mineral that adds nutrients to the soil. And we have Osmocote, which also helps to add nutrients to the soil. And some tools that you will be needing are a shovel and a knife to open the bags, and a little bucket that you can use for measuring. Alright, now let's get started. So before I start, I'd like to say what the measurements are. Basically what we want to follow is a 2-to-1 ratio. We have 2 peat moss to 1 compost and 1 perlite. And as I go on, I'll show you what I mean by that. So for our first measurement, we're going to be filling this bucket up twice with peat moss. Alright, so what we got here is our 2 buckets of peat moss, and next we're going to do 1 bucket of compost. Alright, so what we got now is 2 buckets of peat moss and 1 bucket of compost. Now I just want to say, in case you didn't have access to compost, you could also use vermiculite, and the measurement for this would be 2 buckets of peat moss to about a half bucket of vermiculite. But because we have compost, we're going to be using the compost instead. Alright, now that we got this down, we want to add our perlite, and we're going to add about a half bucket of perlite. So what we have now is 2 buckets of peat moss, 1 bucket of compost, and now a half bucket of perlite. As I mentioned, just try not to breathe in the dust as much as you can. Alright, now for the azomite. For the azomite, you just want to add about a little handful, not too much. So for me, that would be just about enough. Alright, now we have the Osmocote. You can go crazy with this. It's a slow releasing fertilizer, but just try to not add too much. So I add about maybe 1 handful of this as well. Alright, that should be it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix it all together so that it helps to mix in properly. So now what we do is basically we scoop under and we turn it over to help get everything that's on the bottom mixed with everything that's on the top. So as I said, scoop under, bring up, and turn over. And we just follow this pattern as we go on, trying to get every corner to mix in properly. And as we're mixing, I just want to mention this. If you see any clumps like in the peat moss, what you want to do is just like slowly break it down, because you don't want really any big clumps inside. So I just want to mention, before I said that the dust of the perlite is harmful to humans, and basically it's just the dust that's harmful. What perlite actually is just a volcanic rock. So although the dust itself is harmful to humans, it's actually very beneficial for your plants. Alright, so once you're done, you can use this soil for potting, you can add it to your grow beds, or you can even use it for planting seeds. So as I said before, if you don't have any access to topsoil around, this is a very good way to get your own soil. And although it will cost you some money to get, it is cheaper than buying some premixed soil. Alright, so now that we're done mixing, what I'm doing here is I'm filling up the pot. I'm going to use this to plant some flowers. So when you add it to the pot, this mixture is kind of fluffy. What you want to do is press it down a bit. As you can see, it really drops down. And then even after you push it down like this, when you water it, it'll also sink a little bit more. So now this pot is ready to be used for planting. You can plant basically anything in it. Alright, thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe. It'll really help us a lot. And stay tuned for more updates. Stay safe, Marianas.